Week 13, Thursday night breakdown, baby. We've got all the fantasy impact for Thursday's night game. Dallas going into New Orleans. It's going to be a meh one. Let's find out. What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is John, and we are a fantasy football podcast, baby. It's been a good year.
It's been a good year.
Of Thursday night football games, at least. I mean, the Thursday night football games have not disappointed. And I was on the train, and kind of still am, of Thursday nights disappoint. But this year, they have not. Do we get the first one that really does?
We've only had one, I believe, all season that finished below 30 points. A majority of them reach up in about 50 to 60. Some of them even creeping up into the 70-point totals. So I would think with these two teams, no, it's very possible both of them can put up 20 points in a primetime game.
All right.
We got Dallas, who's got that high-flying offense, and New Orleans, who doesn't know what the hell they're doing on any single week, but seems to win some and lose the others.
Yeah. 5-6, 7-4. Oh, man, it's going to be rough. All right, let's jump into the fantasy impact here. Dak Prescott, Taysom Hill. Obviously, Dak Prescott, you're starting, even against this tough defense. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking at someone that's got a 250-yard floor with more than likely about one or two touchdowns in his arm. Could run one in for the first or second time in the season. Realistically, he has been mobile in a couple opportunities for some big plays.
Yeah. It is a tough defense, though, he's going against. So hopefully, he can do magic. But in the last 4 weeks, I will say this, last 4 weeks, the Saints have been the worst against the quarterback position, allowing an average of 26.23 points to the quarterback position. So Dak Prescott must start for sure. But That's not the biggest question mark. The biggest question mark is, what do we expect from Taysom Hill?
You put him in at that tight end position like last year, right?
He's not designated a tight end?
No, I know. I honestly think that he's a streaming option if he's still available for you. The 4 games that he was able to start last season, he was averaging over 20 points per game. I believe it was like 21.4. But those games right there just show you that if he's not going to throw the ball in, he's at least going to use himself as a battering ram, like a Tim Tebow, and just find himself into that end zone. College Tebow, not NFL Tebow. So I think that someone is a sneaky option if you gotta go with someone. We do have a lot of quarterbacks out this week due to bye weeks, so
yeah,
I'm actually playing them.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. Got Ryan Tannehill, Cam Newton, and Jameis Winston.
Ouch.
None of them are playing this week, so we got no options.
That hurts. So I am I'm gonna play him. I honestly, and I don't know if this is a hot take or not, I think he's a low-end quarterback 1 this week.
I would agree with you.
I think with the rushing upside, we've seen it. We've seen what he does. He takes away the rushing upside of Alvin Kumar and the rest of that rushing attack. He's gonna get in the end zone once, maybe even twice with his legs. And as long as he just doesn't play absolutely terribly to where he has to get pulled, I think he's going to score fantasy points. And like you said, John, I think this game could be a shootout, with Dallas needing a win desperately and New Orleans needing a win desperately. I mean, this game could go either way, but I lean more of an offensive shootout, and I think Taysom Hill is going to benefit from that and could really help a ton of people this week. He's only rostered in 34% of leagues. So if you don't have a locked in top 8 guy, I think you can go pick up Taysom Hill and stream him this week.
I agree with you completely. But let's talk about these running backs. We've got 2 guys that started the season. You would have just said must start. But Ezekiel Elliott and Ezekiel Elliott and Alvin Kumar is who I was talking about. But for Dallas, we've got Zeke and Tony Pollard. Last week, got that 100-yard touchdown return. Doesn't do much good for you in fantasy, though, unless you're getting return yards. But between the two of them, are you must starting Zeke this week?
No.
No.
He's playing, he's practicing, he's suiting up. But to be the only reason why I'm okay, I guess I am must starting him because of his upside. The only reason why I think he has a usable week is because he's gonna get goal line carries, but I think he's gonna be more of a running back 2, a mid to low end running back 2. I think Tony Pollard is actually gonna finish ahead of him, because of pass catching work and
That's a hot take. Okay.
Because of pass catching work, I don't think Ezekiel with the knee injury, I don't think or being banged up or whatever you want to call it, I don't think they gave him as much pass catching work, in my opinion. I don't think you bench him, but I do think you temper your expectations for him, and I do think that Tony Pollard's going to get a ton of that pass catching work, and potentially even eat into his touches, which we've already seen. So Tony Pollard is a very good start this week, in my opinion. Very good start. Love to start him in my running back 2 spot if I can.
Yeah. I really think we're looking at 2 running back 2s. I give Zeke the mid to high end running back 2 while we see Pollard at that mid to low end, in my opinion. But both of them very usable this week, but in shallower leagues, or if you just drafted really heavy running backs early in the draft, or got yourself like a Leonard Fournette or some other guys that have just popped up out of nowhere, there are some names I would definitely start over Ezekiel Elliott this week. And that reasonably could be on your team. So he's not a must start for me.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
He's not a must start for me, but he's still got upside. Just temper your expectations and understand that he might be on a limited snap share.
2 guys I have a question for, because I think people might be in this predicament. Would you start Alexander Madison or Ezekiel Elliott? Thank you.
I really think I'm starting Madison against Detroit over Zeke against New Orleans.
Okay. And how about Elijah Mitchell against Seahawks or Ezekiel Elliott?
This one's a little tougher. Let me just see something really fast. At this point, I think I'm going to Eli Mitchell too.
Yeah.
The Seahawks have been allowing over 130 rushing yards per game. New Orleans has been really dominant against the rushing game all season, allowing less than 100. And like we were saying, limited touches are really going to hold you back.
Yeah. I agree with you there. Like I said, the only reason why I'm going to be starting him, unless I have a absolutely 100% viable option who I know is going to get the work against a good matchup, things like that. That's the only reason why I wouldn't start him. But if I have guys like that, because I guarantee you in our live stream, those are going to be the guys, we're asked about. And, I guess not in our live stream because Ezekiel Elliott plays on Thursday, but I think those are the guys we're going to get questions about. And yes, I would start those 2 guys over Ezekiel Elliott this week. Let's move over to the New Orleans side. Obviously, Alvin Kamara is questionable with his knee injury. He's missed, 3 weeks in a row. How comfortable do you feel starting Alvin Kamara, especially with this Taysom Hill-led offense?
Not very. Definitely behind Zeke this week. We do see Mark Ingram coming back from, I believe it's IR or COVID, or from the injury report from the injury report completely, and should be suiting up this game, which will give some reason to not just flood the ball in Alvin Kamara's way if Taysom Hill even decides to give it to him at any reason. Kamara is going to be very touchdown dependent in my mind this week, and you're more than likely looking at, unless you're in a full PPR league, a high-end running back 3. I don't see a great game for him this week.
Yeah, it's hard to bench Kamara, but I agree. I think I would be starting Ezekiel Elliott over Alvin Kamara.
Just understand that the upside's still real.
Yeah, the upside is definitely still there. But I do think that makes Mark Ingram a fine, if you need a fine running back 2 filler for you.
Yeah,
So,
I would agree.
all right, let's move on to the wide receivers. And in my opinion, this is pretty easy for me. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup are the only 3 receivers I'm even interested in this game. I think Michael Gallup is a wide receiver 3 flex, or like a flex option, a risky flex option, and especially with Amari Cooper back. Amari Cooper, I think, moves into that wide receiver 3 conversation. But obviously, higher upside, but and then CeeDee Lamb is a must start receiver, even with his poor performance 2 weeks ago and missing last week. So, and I'm not interested in the Saints receivers. I don't know what we're gonna get. We talked about it a little bit before the show. Traquan Smith, Deontay Harris, Marquez Callaway, even Juwan Johnson. One of those guys could catch a touchdown and be the receiver.
There is no consistent target share there. There's no indication about, hey, Taysom Hill is going to be starting this game. Which receiver is he going to favor? What is his play style, and how is that going to work with the talents of the receiving core around him? It's a crapshoot, and realistically, all of them are low-end flex options, boom or bust, realistically touchdown dependent. I do have a question for you about the Dallas receiving core, though. Amari Cooper is officially questionable due to having some COVID symptoms at the moment for Thursday night's game. If he doesn't play, does that make Michael Gallup a must start for you with Cedric Wilson out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, you're not starting him over your studs, but I do think that bumps him up into the low end wide receiver 2 conversation.
Let's throw him. Let's look at that nomenclature. Let's call him a strong wide receiver 2 option for you, or a very, very good flex option for you in that situation. I would agree.
Nomenclature, nice word, John.
I went to college.
You didn't go to class, but you went to college.
I went to classes.
Oh man! All right, tight ends, only one, Dalton Schultz, and especially if Amari Cooper's out, I gotta sneeze something. Oh my gosh! But especially if Amari Cooper's out, my eyes are watering and my nose is itchy, but I just can't sneeze. But Dalton Schultz definitely, even with him in tight end, low end tight end 1, high end tight end 2, highly owned, 82%, tight end 5 on the year.
Off of some big games, it's very, very great to see. We've had some of the biggest tight ends of the season miss a handful of games or just not put up the production we've been expecting this year. And a lot of these unknowns or lower end tight ends have really been boosting themselves up there. I do think that Dalton Schultz is a low to mid end tight end 1 this week. It's hard to say to not play him if he's on your roster because you probably have him as the other tight end on your team. So unless you have a Kelsey on your team, I think you should be playing Dalton Schultz. 7 to 8 targets per game is something you're desperately going to want on your team.
100%. 100%. So, all right, guys, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to tune in next time for our must starts and sits for week 13. What else are we doing? We also have our DFS show, bet show, and our live stream on Sunday at noon Eastern. All right, guys. Love you, and see you later.